It's the similarities between us that interests me most. There seems to be a degree of uniqueness to every person. So it's the differences that interest you most, it's the similarities that interest you most. I think that's interesting because, well, what does it mean to be interested in something? When we're interested in something, it's because we notice a difference about it. So to be interested about similarities is hard because by its very nature, interest is divisive. It negates a ground in favor of a figure, a word in favor of a sound. So we don't often hear our words, we think our words. If we actually heard the words, their meaning would become a lot more fluid. You start to notice that everything you say is a metaphor. Every word, even, words that we don't really consider metaphors anymore, words we think of as actually being concrete things, like the road is a thing that, it's right out there. That's what it is. But when we use the word road, we mean, the road that we drive on that has a bunch of assholes on it that we constantly have to flick off and cut off and, force off the road, because that's the road of discourse, that's, part of this, it's kind of like a mob or monster idea or a concept of society. All of our words are sort of mashed together in this mass mind, because most of us learn how to speak by listening to music, radio, TV, watching TV. We learn how to communicate, and we learn what the public discourse is from those types of sources of media. Some of us are learning to talk on YouTube now, I guess, but it's a relatively new phenomenon, so we can't be too sure what's going to come of that. Maybe stuff like this, co-created video networks of people engaging each other about particular topics and figuring out together where the best course of thought may be. Maybe it's not the best course of thought, but the most beautiful or aesthetically pleasing in some way. Or I guess the idea is it should be logical and aesthetic. It should be right and feel good. But that doesn't have anything to do with beauty, I guess. But anyways, back to the idea of difference being the inherent quality of things that interest us. It's if you're caught by something, it sort of snags you because it sticks out, and it would be uniquenesses in people that would stick out rather than similarities. To be interested in similarities, I guess, is to try to categorize things. You want to try to group everything into a system of relationships that are clearly demarcated, and you can, pick out each individual thing and understand how it works. But then when you don't stop focusing on all these differences in each individual component, you forget about the relationship. The relationship is the gap between the things. It's what you can't see or measure. You can predict it, but you cannot control it. Because any technology you devise in order to somehow give you some instrumental ability in the face of nature, nature always responds. Man isn't the only conscious entity in the universe. In fact, man's probably one of the least conscious of nature's creations, because it feels so separated and has forgotten relationship and forgotten the gaps between thoughts, forgotten the spaces between people and the times between memories. We lose track of time because we're always trying to spend it. And if time is valuable in the sense that money is valuable, then you better mark or have every single hour of your day marked out and planned out, such that you're going to be able to accomplish what you need to with your life. Because if fundamentally you are trapped between your birth and your death, you only have so long, and you can't go back or move forward. You kind of have to deal with where you are. You have to spend your time doing things, which it always leaves you trapped. You're in this maze. Yeah, you're in a game.